What if kindness became your kryptonite? Imagine this. You're standing in the soft glow of your kitchen, the scent of fresh coffee curling through the air when the phone rings. It's someone needing your help. Again. You've spent a lifetime being the warm, patient soul everyone turns to, the one who forgives easily and loves deeply. But now, as the years stack up, that same kindness feels like a weight pressing down on your chest. Have you ever wondered if being good your whole life might quietly turn you into an easy mark? It's a question that lingers as we age, and today, I'm here to walk you through a truth many of us stumble into too late. We're often told to stay soft-hearted, to keep giving, to hold space for everyone. But here's the flip side. If you don't learn to live a little colder, more deliberate, more detached, you might end up drained, manipulated, and staring at a life that feels like it slipped through your fingers. This isn't about becoming harsh or shutting down. It's about protecting the peace you've earned. In this journey, I'll share 6 powerful reasons why living with a touch of cool-headed clarity after 72 means safeguarding your soul, not freezing it. Each insight comes from that hard-won wisdom we gather over decades, the kind that whispers, being too available, too emotional, too agreeable can erode the life you've built brick by brick. These lessons aren't about locking your heart away. They're about choosing where it opens, how you give without running dry, and how you stay kind without becoming a doormat. Stick with me until the end, because one of these final points might just flip a switch in your mind, showing you something you'll wish you'd seen years ago. Let's get started. Number 1. Emotional detachment shields your serenity. Picture yourself on a crisp autumn morning, leaves crunching underfoot, the air sharp with that unmistakable fall chill. At 72, every quiet moment like this feels like a gift, a slice of peace you've waited decades to claim. But how often does that peace get shattered by someone else's storm? Emotional detachment isn't about turning off your care switch. It's about deciding where to plug it in. As you get older, your serenity becomes a treasure worth guarding, and letting go of unnecessary emotional tangles is one of the kindest things you can do for yourself. Think about it. Not every squabble deserves your tears. Not every family drama needs you as the referee. Not every sharp word flung your way warrants a sleepless night. You've earned the right to step back, to let your heart rest, instead of being tugged in every direction, especially by folks who demand more than they ever give back. Love doesn't mean you have to drown in someone else's mess. Real love sets you free to sleep soundly, not to fix what's never been yours to mend. Take Marcus, for instance. At 83, he's a wiry man with a quick laugh and eyes that crinkle like he's always got a story to tell. For years, he was the glue holding his sprawling family together. A cousin's divorce? Marcus was on the phone, soothing tears. A niece's missed birthday? He'd drive across town with a cake. He thrived on being the rock until he didn't. One evening, sitting on his porch with a glass of sweet tea, he realized his days were shrinking, and yet he was still spending them on battles that weren't his. His youngest daughter, Leela, saw the shift first. Dad used to drop everything, she recalls, but now he listens, nods, and lets us figure it out. He's calmer, and honestly, so are we. Marcus still cares. He's not a stone wall, but he's learned to draw a gentle line. This affects me, that doesn't. He'll sit with you through a tough moment, but he won't carry it home. That shift gave him back mornings where the only sound is birdsong, not buzzing phones. Living with detachment means picking your fights, not out of apathy, but out of wisdom. It's walking away from chaos even when they beg you to stay, choosing quiet over quarrels. Some might call it cold, but Marcus calls it freedom. His path's lighter now, his spirit steadier. That unshakable peace, it's worth more than gold. Number 2, saying no without guilt recharges your spirit. Ever feel like your energy's a candle burning at both ends? After 72, time and stamina aren't just precious, they're sacred. Yet how many of us have spent decades nodding yes when every fiber screamed no? We're taught to be agreeable, to bend over backward, to keep the peace. But that habit can leave you hollowed out, quietly resenting the life you're too tired to enjoy. Living with a cooler edge means saying no without a knot of guilt twisting in your gut. And trust me, that's not selfish, it's survival. Every yes to something you dread is a no to something you crave. Maybe a nap in the sun, a book you've been meaning to crack open, or just the sweet nothingness of a free afternoon. You've got a finite number of sunrises left, and you get to choose how they shine. You don't owe your hours to every plea, every favor, every just this once. Enter Clara, 78, a woman with a voice like honey and a spine of steel. She used to be the family's yes lady. Airport runs at dawn. She'd grumble but go. Hosting holidays when her knees ached. She'd do it, dropping her own plans to babysit. Always. Then came the day she missed her garden club, a little group of friends who'd sip tea and trade cuttings because her sister needed a ride. Clara loved her roses, the feel of soil under her nails, the chatter over chamomile. Missing it stung. That night, she sat with a cup of tea and decided enough was enough. Now, Clara says no with a smile, firm, kind, no apologies. I'll pass this time, she'll say, and that's that. The world didn't collapse. Her sister found a cab, and Clara? She's got dirt-stained hands and a heart full of bloom again. Saying no doesn't need a sermon or a sob story. You don't have to justify it to anyone. The ones who matter won't bat an eye. They'll respect your space. The ones who pout, they've been coasting on your generosity too long. There's a strength in that simple word, a quiet power that carves out room for rest, for joy, for you. Guilt fades when you see it's not about hurting others. It's about honoring yourself. Clara wakes up lighter now, her days hers to shape. That's what living coldly can do. It hands you back your spark. If this resonates, drop a number 2 in the comments. I'd love to know you're with me. Haven't subscribed? Hit that button and ring the bell so you don't miss what's next. Your support keeps this going, and I'm grateful for it. Let's move on. Number 3, selective empathy fortifies your mind. There's a moment after 72 when you realize empathy, beautiful as it is, can become a double-edged sword. It's that quiet shift where you see that feeling too much, too often, for too many can unravel the threads of your own mental peace. Selective empathy isn't about turning cold as ice. It's about choosing where to pour your heart, how deep, and for how long. Because not every sob story deserves your full weight, and not every burden is yours to shoulder. When you let yourself soak up everyone's pain, it seeps into you, slowly at first, then all at once. You're left carrying their fears, their chaos, their regrets, like a backpack you didn't pack. Over time, it shows. Restless nights, a heaviness in your step, a mind that won't hush. People lean on you because you're kind, but also because you've let them unload more than you can bear. Living with a cooler touch means setting limits on that empathy, not out of cruelty, but out of care for yourself. Meet Amos, 85, a gentle giant with a voice that rumbles like distant thunder and hands that once fixed every broken thing in his neighborhood. For decades, he was the listener. Friends down on their luck, he'd sit with them, feeling their despair. Neighbors feuding, he'd mediate, absorbing the tension. His son's rocky marriage, Amos took it to heart, as if it were his own failure. He was a sponge for pain until it soaked him through. His wife Esther noticed first. He'd come home quiet, stare at the wall, like he'd lost something. Then came the sleepless nights, the doctor's warnings about stress. One afternoon, over a bowl of Esther's chicken soup, Amos had a reckoning. "I can't keep breaking for everyone," he told her. Now he listens. Oh, he's still kind, but he doesn't drown. He'll nod, offer a word, then let it go. His son's troubles? Amos gives advice if asked, then steps back. A friend's woes? He hears them out, but their weight stays on their shoulders. Selective empathy gave him back his sleep, his laughter, his mornings tinkering in the shed. He's not heartless, he's whole. It's about filtering who gets your deep care. The constant crisis makers, the ones who lean but never lift, they don't need your soul on a platter. After 72, you've earned the right to say, "I see you, but I'm not sinking with you." That space you carve out, it's where your mind breathes again, where joy creeps back in. Amos's shed smells of sawdust and possibility now, not worry. That's the grace of living coldly. It keeps your spirit steady, your head clear, your heart yours. Number 4, guarding your time. Honors your worth. Close your eyes for a second. Feel the ticking of the clock, soft as a heartbeat. After 72, every hour glows with a weight it never had before. A fragile, fleeting gift. Time's not just valuable, it's holy. Yet how often have you handed it over without a second thought? Guarding your time isn't about pushing people away. It's about pulling yourself closer, finally seeing how precious those minutes are. Living with a cooler edge means saying no to what drains you and yes to what fills you up. Think back. How many hours have you spent on things you regretted mid-moment? Chats that dragged on, errands you didn't sign up for, gatherings where you felt invisible. We're told giving time makes us good, but choosing it makes us wise. Take Lila, 80, a woman with silver hair and a laugh that dances. Her calendar used to be a mosaic of obligations, church bake sales, cousin catch-ups, community boards. She loved being part of it all, until she didn't. One rainy afternoon, she sat with a cup of Earl Grey and flipped through her planner. Half of this, she thought, is me running on empty. She started asking, "Does this light me up?" If not, it got a gentle no. Now, Lila's days have room for her watercolors, for naps with her cat purring beside her, for strolls where she counts the shades of green in the trees. Her nephew Jamie remembers her old pace. Aunt Lila was everywhere, but she looked tired. Now, she's picky with her time, and she glows. Guarding her hours didn't shrink her world, it deepened it. You don't owe your time to every knock, every call, every quick favor. The ones who respect you won't guilt you for it. They'll cheer your boundaries. And those one-sided takers, they fade when the free ride ends. There's peace in an empty afternoon, healing in a morning you shape. Lila's brushstrokes on canvas say it loud, "I'm worth this." When you guard your time, you're not just saving minutes, you're claiming your value. Drop a number 4 in the comments if this hits home. I'd love to hear from you. Not subscribed yet? Join us and tap that bell. Your support fuels these stories. Number 5. Firm boundaries. Build your strength. There's a power that blooms with age. Not in your bones, maybe, but in your spirit. After 72, saying no isn't just a choice, it's a shield. Your personal boundaries aren't whims. They're walls you've earned, guarding your peace, your dignity, your right to live on your terms. Living coldly here means knowing that protecting your space isn't rude, it's vital. Too long, kindness gets mistaken for a free pass, and if you've always been the reliable one, you might feel your own needs fading into the background. You've said yes when you ached to say no, helped when your body begged for rest, swallowed disrespect to avoid a fuss. But peace bought by crumbling boundaries? That's no peace, it's surrender. Meet Jasper, 83, a man with a farmer's hands and a voice that carries like a hymn. He was the family cornerstone, steady, calm, always there. Need a loan? Jasper's got you. A late-night vent? He's listening. But over time, that reliability turned into expectation. If he said no, eyebrows raised. If he spoke up, they waved it off. One spring day, Jasper sat on his porch, the smell of fresh-cut grass in the air, and decided he'd had enough. He stopped answering every call that came with a demand. Not today, he'd say, or just let it ring. His sister, Faye, pushed back once. You've changed. He smiled. No, I've started. Freedom washed over him. Not anger, just release. Jasper's boundaries aren't walls. They're gates he controls. He's not bitter, he's bold. Saying no isn't a snub, it's a stand. It's you saying, I've built this life and I get to keep it. The more you do it, the easier it flows. Takers drift away, and that's a gift. Jasper's days now hum with his own rhythm, whittling wood, sipping coffee, watching the sky shift. Boundaries reflect respect for yourself first. At 72, they're not optional, they're your backbone. Every no you honor hands you back a piece of your power. Number 6. Letting go of outcomes frees your soul. Imagine standing by a river, the water rushing past, cool mist kissing your face. After 72, there's a quiet strength in letting that current flow without trying to steer it. Detaching from outcomes isn't indifference, it's clarity. It's realizing your peace doesn't hinge on how others act, how life unfolds, or whether your choices get a gold star. Living coldly here is about stepping back from the need to control and finding freedom in the release. When we're younger, we wrestle with what we can't change, fixing people who won't budge, fretting over words we can't take back, chasing approval that never lands. But age whispers a truth. Worry never rewrote the ending. Detachment isn't quitting, it's breathing room. Take Naomi, 86, a woman with a wit sharp as a tack and eyes that see through you. She used to lose sleep over her kids' paths, her son's shaky job, her daughter's wild love life. She'd lie awake, plotting advice, praying they'd listen. Then, one winter night, snow blanketing her yard, Naomi saw it. Her worry didn't shift their roads, it just dimmed her own light. She decided to love them fierce, offer wisdom if they asked, then let go. Her son, Eli, says, "Mom's different now, calmer. She trusts us to stumble." Naomi's mind's quieter, her days brighter. She knits now, the click of needles a steady song, not a frantic fix. Letting go means conversations can end messy, others can misjudge you, and you don't flinch. You don't chase outcomes, you plant seeds and walk away. Naomi's peace isn't tied to their choices. It's hers who's alone. That's the cold-edged wisdom. Your thermostat's yours to set. Peace isn't in control. It's in surrender, not of your values, but of the results. That shift, it's a quiet revolution. If this strikes a chord, comment number 6 below. I'd love to know. Not subscribed? Join us and hit that bell. Let's keep going. Final thoughts. A life refined, not reduced. Take a breath with me. Picture the sun dipping low, painting the sky in hues of gold and lavender. We've walked through 6 reasons why living with a cooler touch after 72 isn't about shutting down, it's about waking up. It's clarity over chaos, peace over pleasing, strength over strain. This isn't about less heart, it's about more you, putting your well-being where it belongs, front and center. What grabbed you today? Was it stepping back from overgiving, the power of a firm no, or that soul-deep release of letting outcomes drift? These aren't just thoughts, they're tools. Start small. Say no once. Pause before you leap in. Let someone else carry their load. It's not easy at first. It takes grit. But each step gets lighter, richer, truer. This stage isn't a fade out. It's a refining fire. You've lived, loved, lost, and learned. Now, you choose what stays, what goes, who gets your precious time. That's beauty, born from courage. Tell me in the comments what clicked for you today and how you use it. Your voice matters. It keeps us going. Liked this? Hit like, subscribe, share. Thanks for being here. See you next time. Number 7. Reclaiming your voice restores your power. Ever notice how a lifetime of listening can mute your own song? After 72, the world's had its say. Family, friends, even strangers with their endless needs. But what about you? Living with a cooler edge means dusting off your voice, speaking your truth, not to wound, but to stand tall. It's not about shouting, it's about being heard, reclaiming the power that comes when you stop swallowing your words. You've spent years nodding, soothing, smoothing edges. Maybe you've bitten your tongue to keep peace, or dimmed your light so others could shine. But silence has a cost. It chips at your core. Reclaiming your voice isn't cold, it's fire. It's saying, I'm here and I matter. Take Evelyn, 79, a woman with a smile, warm as summer, and a will like iron. She was the family peacemaker. Her brother's rants, her kids' squabbles, she'd hush them with a soft word. But inside, her own thoughts piled up, unsaid. One Christmas, her nephew, Tom, griped about her boring gifts, handmade scarves she'd knitted for weeks. Normally, Evelyn would have smiled, apologized. Not that day. I made these with love, she said, voice steady. And if that's not enough, that's on you. The room went still. Tom blinked, then grinned. Fair enough, Aunt Ev. Later, her daughter Mara said, Mom, you've been hiding that spark. Evelyn felt it, a rush, like wind through open windows. She wasn't mean. She was real. Speaking up doesn't need venom, just clarity. It's, I'd rather not, or that hurt me, or this is what I need. The ones who love you will lean in. The rest, they'll adjust or drift. Evelyn's scarves hang proud now, her words freer. Her power's back, not borrowed, not begged for, but hers. At 72, your voice isn't a luxury, it's your birthright. Claim it and watch your world shift.